What's going on, everyone? Thomas Jordan here for another episode. Today, we are joined by pop punk and TikTok sensation, Matt Copley. What's going on, man?
How's it going, dude? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for taking your time, and we're just going to jump right into it. I also forgot to mention that you are the lead singer of the band Unwell, and how I'm always curious of how you got started in the music industry.
For sure. Yeah. So, I started like singing when I was really young, and I got my roots is like in theater on stage and stuff. And so that's kind of like where my background lied. And then I was in a pop punk band in high school, and it wasn't anything serious. It was just like a high school band. And then, I got my bachelor's degree. I went to a music school. So I got my bachelor's in music, and then I joined Unwell right after I graduated college. And, it's been a couple. I think we've been together for like 2 years now, so it's been a quick journey for me so far.
And how does what like I'm always curious on how bands actually form. I know you guys are kind of all friends, but it's like how did you guys all end up coming together?
Yeah. So I knew Chris, who's our rhythm guitarist. I knew him from my old band. We went to high school together. And then Drew is our producer and bassist. And we met him because I was recording during the pandemic. Before we formed, I wrote a musical and I wanted to record it. And so I went to Chris because I knew Chris worked with Drew in recording other metalcore bands and pop punk bands. And I was like, hey, would you guys want to record a musical album? And they were like, sure. And so we spent 2 whole weeks doing that. And then like during those 2 weeks, I got to know Drew really well. And we just started like talking about like, hey, maybe we should just like, write a song together. Why not? And then we ended up writing a song together. And that was our first single we put out, which was Tightrope. And we wrote that in a day, and like the rest is history. We just kind of hit the ground running from there.
And how do you guys like, because I guess I'm always curious as well as how bands pick their genre and what like pulls you to pop punk versus like metalcore, rock, alternative, anything like that.
Yeah. So my music taste in general has always lied in pop punk, like on the softer side of things, like the Blink 182, the Sum 41 was huge for me, and Green Day. Like that's like All Time Low, Mayday Parade, all those like old, like very kind of soft pop rock, pop emo, whatever you want to call them. That's what I listened to growing up. And then Drew, our producer, comes from like a very metalcore heavy scene. And that's what like most bands he produces is like that. So we kind of got our style and our like kind of unique flair from the combination of those two things. And me having my theater background too, like I came from more of the pop side, and Drew came from more of the metalcore side. And Chris is in there with like the same, he has a taste of both because he was in theater with me too. And so yeah, we kind of developed this sound that's like, we call it aggressive pop punk because we have a lot of traditional pop punk, like hooky melody or catchy melodies, a lot of cool hooks. But we have a lot of metalcore. Sorry,
Yeah,
I can't.
I got it.
Elements like a lot of double kick, a lot of pick scrapes, a lot of guitar bending or string bending, a lot of cool like metalcore elements into our stuff, and we have a lot of cool like breakdowns in our music too. That's not traditionally in pop punk music, so that's kind of how we melded this like unique kind of sound.
And what do you think of like this new wave of pop punk? Because I feel like it was there because I was there. That was my whole scene that you mentioned, All Time Low and Mayday Parade. I saw them together on tour a while back. Awesome. And it's just like I said, I feel like it went and then it died, and now it's just coming back in this whole new wave. So I'm just curious, like, how do you feel about that?
I love it. I
Yeah.
really like very nostalgic. I think what kind of happened there was like once it died off, and the pandemic happened, everyone was like resorted to home, everyone was stuck inside, and like I think a lot of people grabbed onto nostalgia and nostalgic things because they were either back at home at their parents' house, they were just like stuck inside for a very long time, and like they resorted to things that they knew made them comfortable or knew that they liked. And I think this resurgence of pop punk was like one of those things for a lot of people. And and with MGK kind of like releasing his first pop punk album during this time period too, it kind of just like it's kind of like this huge like cannonball of just pop punk all at once. And yeah, I think that's kind of what jump started this whole resurgence. And I really enjoy it. I love, it's like it's nostalgic for me in a sense, but it also with this new band Unwell and us making new like pop punk, it's cool to kind of ride this wave with it right now.
That MGK transition was insane. Like one of my business mentors always talks about with his business, like what you start with is not what you end with. And to see where MGK came from like this hardcore rapper to like this, well, just quote unquote pop punk, it was like, wait, what? And now, I mean, he's just skyrocketed. So it's crazy to see something with like such a shift like that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. There's I think a lot of artists shifted during the pandemic, and a lot of people are. Yeah, I think that just shows growth. I don't necessarily have an opinion on his music as a whole, but like, or as him as an artist as a whole, but like. Mm-hmm. I really respect artists that can make a change that drastic and like still be very relevant and even skyrocket their career further. So nothing but respect from my end for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I was never really big into MGK stuff, and nor do I really have an opinion. I just, like I said, I look at it for more of just like progression and where they kind of go, because I think on a service level, people are like, oh, he sold out. But then it's like, they said that with Green Day. Right. Green Day, they were like, oh, you're a bunch of sellouts. But it's like, I don't think people realize like they were living in a van. They couldn't rub two nickels together. And then this record company comes along and is like, hey, we'll pay you millions of dollars to go mainstream. You think they're going to be like, no, man, we're going to just stay in the gutter. No, and now they're huge.
Easy to judge and speculate from the outside looking in. But, to actually be in those conversations and be in their positions is a whole nother thing that a lot of people, have a hard time putting themselves in their shoes. So yeah. I don't buddy for making the decisions they make,
Yeah. And I mean, and you guys in this new wave, I guess marketing was a little different back then. I'm trying to even think of how I remember listening to like the radio and, I think it called like Soundbar or SoundCloud. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Pure Volume. That's what it's called, Pure Volume. That's how we kind of like found our like all these new bands or whatever. And but now it's TikTok, and you guys have just jumped on that train. And can you tell me a little bit about how you've been marketing your band on TikTok?
Yeah. So music on TikTok blew up again during the pandemic, and like we recognized that and saw that as an opportunity to promote ourselves. And so we definitely hopped right on that. And, what our kind of strategy or just like our big thing is like sharing our story. Like people just want to be a part of your story, like feel like they're in on something, and want to feel like, they're part of this cool club that like not other people know about. And that's kind of like, so we try to have a very personalized approach to TikTok and feel like we're just having a one-on-one conversation with somebody on the other end of this phone. So every video we post, we try, there's exceptions, but we try to have like very conversational videos, just like telling our stories, telling like why the song or like why we wrote this song, what's going on in our life that made us write this song. And that's proved to attract a lot of people apparently. And it's cool. It's cool to see people relate to our music and to, convert to following us on Instagram or convert to just, being Spotify listeners or just fans of us. And it's cool. Yeah.
Did you have one video in specific where, because everyone starts at 0 and it's like you may get 100 here or 1,000 here, but it was there. We call it, I'm more of a YouTube guy, so we call it like the hockey stick effect, where it's like you're just going, and then all of a sudden just it skyrockets. Did you have a specific video that just took off and really kind of like opened up the doors for you guys?
Yeah, it was this video that was a trend going around at the time. It was about a year ago or about 6 or 7 months ago now. There was this trend going on about like, I created a bot and I made it listen to 1,000 hours of pop punk music. And this is what it came up with. And then we would play our song. And so, or play whoever song it was. It was a trend that a lot of people. And so we just hopped on that trend, and that happened to give us 1 million views in like a couple days. And it was honestly one of those things that like we did not expect at all. It just happened out of sheer luck. And that honestly really skyrocketed our TikTok, our Spotify following, our following on Instagram. It did a lot for us. And so after seeing that, we were like, okay, there's a lot of power in TikTok.
Yeah. And who noticed it first? Was it you, or is it any other band members who noticed that the video hit 1 million views first? And did they did somebody text somebody? Did somebody call somebody, or how did that happen?
I honestly don't remember because it was a little bit ago now, but
Yeah.
I'm almost positive it was me that noticed it because I'm pretty much the most active one on the band TikTok. But yeah, I remember because I also remember. Sorry, more details are coming
No,
back
you're
to me.
good. You're good. Let's hear it.
I remember like the first 24 hours we posted the video, it wasn't doing super hot. I remember it being like very mid grade, like a couple thousand, maybe nothing crazy. And then after like 24 hours, it started getting like, it started doubling and the doubling and then doubling and then doubling. And we were like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then it just like went from like 10,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 to 200,000 in like a matter of hours. And we were like, what? And yeah, that's when our group chat was going crazy because we were just like, guys, look at this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what I love about your guys' content, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk to you about too, is it's like the quality is good, but it's very simple. And I see this all the time, whether it's podcasting, video podcasting, podcast interviews, or just creating content for your business brands, and in your case, bands, is people get so caught up in the gear, the latest audio gear, the latest camera, like what camera are you using? Or, how did you make it do this? How did you make it do that? And you guys keep it insanely simple. And it is just, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, man, I preach this to, everyone that I kind of like consult with about TikTok and social media. Is like, you don't need the latest equipment. You don't need the fanciest stuff because people, at the root of it, people don't want to be advertised to or look like they're being advertised to on social media. They come to social media for like entertainment or education. And that's pretty much, for the most part, it. And and like I said, like about being relatable and like trying to just, people want to be a part of your story, part of your journey. That's what TikTok's like great at. So if you're using an iPhone, a tool that's in everybody's pockets that looks familiar to everyone, they're going to be a lot more willing to stay and watch that video. Whether it's like it might just be subliminal in their minds, or like it might just be like, some of that subconscious kind of marketing kind of tactics. But like, it's a true fact, because if you use like a very high quality, like Black Magic camera that looks but like freaking amazing, and you're like so proud of it, and you post it and it gets like 100 views because it looks so good. It looks like an ad almost, at least in my experience. Like that's almost always what happens. And there's always exceptions to everything, but for the vast majority of TikTok especially, they encourage, and Instagram too, they encourage imperfections in videos. And they even tell you that, I think, in like their creator like tips and tricks and stuff. Like it doesn't matter if it's a perfect video or not. They just want to see you and see you as a creator and see what you can do. And like that's what the algorithms value. So yeah, we keep it simple. We keep it simple so it appeals to like as many people as possible.
Yeah, and I even saw that it took, when you guys shot your music video for Epiphany, it's you guys shot it in 1 hour, which I've been on. So I used to be an entertainment reporter out in Los Angeles, and I used to be on sets for movies and music videos. It is like an all day process, and it's just constantly on loop. It is exhausting. So when I saw it's like, they shot it in an hour, just like, let's go. You guys are just practicing what you preach on, even on a professional side where, whether it's your label or whether you're independent, whatever, you guys just want to get it out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, and honestly, we love this music videographer we work with. His name is Matthew Pimentel. He's out of Detroit. He's amazing. Highly recommend him. But we work with him a lot, and one of the things he preaches is like almost always, for the most part, again, there's always exceptions, but for the most part, the first take is almost always the best take when it comes to like band performance music videos. Like almost always the first take's the best, unless you're like getting like levels adjusted, whatever. But I mean, like. And so that's on, and that's true for us. And every band is different, but like for us, our first takes are almost always good, and we just rip through it. I mean, there's no sense for us in like pounding out the same performance shot like 20 times in a row. We do it maybe 3 times and call it like a day because, like, I don't know. That's just how we work. But we just knock it out.
Yeah, it's like no one's got time for 20 takes of you jumping around or whatever it is you're doing. Yeah. Do you guys think, I know there's 4 or 5 members of the band, right?
Yeah, there's 5 of us.
Yeah. So when they said, when the videographer was like, we're just going to do this quick, we're going to knock this out. And it's still got to look good. I'm sure you guys use professional cameras and everything like that. Was there any pushback from any of the band members? Like, maybe we should be taking a little bit longer. Maybe we should get this shot right. Or was everybody like, let's get this done and just push it out there? Was everybody on the same page?
So the first music video we did with Matthew, because we did a couple music videos before, like some of our first music videos we did with a very different team, and that was very planned out, and those were like more all day shoots. And ultimately, we weren't super, like, we were happy with how they turned out, but looking back now, we would definitely redo some of our decisions. But so, yeah, there was a little bit of hesitancy within the band when we first started working with Matthew, because we had those fears, like, is this even, like, is this going to turn out? And like, we would do a shot and Matthew would be like, all right, let's move on. And there would be like some pushback, just be like, I don't know, like, are you sure we got it? And so that first video with him, Epiphany, was, we just had to like trust him, and he was just like, trust me, it'll look good. And then once we got the music video back, the first cut back, we were like, okay, yeah, and so now we're all on board, and we trust Matthew a lot. But I mean, I think finding the right person, the right videographer and editor that you trust and know can work really well with you and put a good video together, then I think that's key.
Yeah, and also he must have been pretty convincing, because I've worked with like behind the camera a lot, whether it's, because I do a lot of that stuff too. And it's like convincing some people to just let it be and keep it simple it can be tough sometimes. But do you think going forward you guys will stick with that, and it's like, let's see if we can shoot this in an hour, or maybe even challenge you to shoot it on an iPhone? Because if your guy is good and he's like, you trust him, it's like, maybe you try using that iPhone 13 or maybe even like an iPhone 8 and just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. We are always down to create and collaborate with anybody we work with. We're a very collaborative band in that sense, as far as artwork goes and music and videos. So we're always open for things. Moving forward, something we try to do with this upcoming music video, Clueless, it's a lot more involved than Epiphany was, because Epiphany was a very just like performance video, and that was it. We didn't have any sets or scene changes. It was just straight up us singing and performing in a white void. And then Clueless was shot in a McDonald's with like not really like a kind of a storyline, but not really a storyline. It's more just like different kinds of like scenarios within the McDonald's, and then performance shots set up in front of the drink machine. So like, it was a little more involved this time. So it took like 3 hours instead of like 1 hour, because of all the setup and the different scene changes and stuff. But we're always open to, like I said, whatever looks best for the music and the goal we want to achieve. If like shooting something on an iPhone is going to accomplish what we want, then by all means, we're going to shoot it on an iPhone. It's part of the thing. But I will say, sorry, I'm rambling. But
no, you're good. You're good, man.
I will say, something we have been doing that's proved really helpful for us is, in addition to the videographer Matthew that we work with, we also, for music video shoots, hire a photographer and like iPhone videographer too. So we're also getting behind the scenes content and iPhone content on top of the professional music video grade content too. So we're double dutying it, and it's proven to help us out immensely in terms of like backloading content and stuff.
So what would you say to people who push back on that? Because I hear that a lot too when it comes to creating content, is to have a videographer for behind the scenes and photographer while you're shooting. And I know it sounds like a lot, and people are like, oh, the money, da-da-da-da. It's like, train somebody, because it's like, yeah, you're knocking out two birds with one stone. And it's like, even with these podcast interviews, which you'll see, whether we talk for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, that's 30 pieces of content just straight. But that's like, if I were to just put these on top of each other like I normally do, and then it's like, okay, well, that's 30 clips. And then it's like, okay, well, let's put the same 30 clips on with captions and see what's that. And then it's like, okay, well, let's do that with, all the ones that did really well. You've got almost 100 pieces of content in one thing. So in your case, you have photo, which you can use forever. And then it's like, you've got BTS stuff. Like I saw, I can't remember what song it was. I think it may have been, it was either Clueless or Tightrope, or I think your producer was kind of no, it was Epiphany, and he was showing the vocals on like how you guys like almost like the whole process on how
Yeah.
that was done, and it was just like the screen going. That I think is that's the behind the scenes I'm talking about, which I personally, as like, because I don't have a musicianal lick in my body, man. But it's really cool to see the behind the scenes process on how those songs are made, how everything's stacked up in Pro Tools and everything like that. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think for anybody that's doing music videos or just any kind of content in general, like pay for your music videographer for sure, but like I was saying earlier, you don't need a professional camera or professional a person to pay thousands of dollars to shoot behind the scene footage or iPhone footage just for content. Pay your best friend $50 or $100 or even 200 if you want to ball out, and just get someone to hold an iPhone and press record while you're doing your thing. Like, trust me, that footage will come in so much more handy than you ever think it will, because again, people on TikTok and Reels and Shorts and all that stuff, like, just want to be a part of your story, and being seen behind the scenes content that's just raw footage that's like very transparent is something people love. So yeah.
And I know trends and stuff are important, but you keep touching on something that I think doesn't get as much love as it should, and that's storytelling. I watch a lot of interviews, and Mr. Beast, obviously, master storyteller, but he said something along the lines of, you will learn more from watching a Pixar movie that with creating content and storyline versus like looking up the best tips and tricks on YouTube and TikTok. It's like, it's the story that matters.
Yes, 100%. It's always the story, and it's what's unique to you. Because like you said, you can look up tips and tricks all you want, and you can implement as many of those as you can. But ultimately, if your story or your content isn't appealing or interesting, then, not to be harsh, but like if it's not those things, then like it's not going to go anywhere. Like, you need to individualize your content and figure out what makes you different from the rest, whether that's music or whether that's art or whether that's video, whatever it may be. Your content needs to be individualized and unique to you, and then figure out how to make that a story, how to tell your story as an individual or as an artist or as a creator. That's like by far the most important thing over any tips and tricks.
Yeah, and what's, I guess, been your secret sauce as far as separating yourself from the pack of like other TikTok creators and other pop punk emo bands?
Yeah, I hate to kind of keep beating this nail, but like it's the storytelling. It's just telling our unique story. We're not exaggerating any truths at all, and there's no shame in doing that. But like we are literally just authentically telling our story. Like, for this campaign we're doing right now for our next single, Clueless. For those of you listening or watching, it's a song about not knowing what you're doing in life and feeling stuck. And the whole music video is shot in a McDonald's, and two of our band members work in McDonald's together because they live together and they work in McDonald's together. And one's been a manager there for 8 years. And this is a song that relates to them. It's one of the reasons why we wrote this song. And so was the whole idea behind shooting the music video and this content campaign and strategy, is like, we just want to tell this story. Like, we want to tell what's going on in our lives, like that's actually going on in our lives, and people relate to it. There's so many, how many people work at McDonald's, man? Like, yeah. There's so many people that can relate, and so many people that can relate to just being stuck in life. Like, that's such a broad topic that so many people can relate to at one point or another in their life. And that is what we want, is just to relate to as many people as possible, and just trying to grab people's attention by authentic storytelling. So I think that's what really sets us apart.
And does McDonald's know you guys are shooting a music video in there? I gotta ask, because I know getting corporate approval for stuff like that, not the easiest thing.
Yeah, no. So we did, because Chris has been a manager there for 8 years, we did have to get approval. He got approval from like his higher ups. I don't know how high up the chain that had to go, but he had to get approval that after they closed that night, we set up in their lobby and shot overnight. While the store was closed. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, normally, no, like they would never do it. We couldn't show any logos. We couldn't do any of that stuff. We had to make sure everything was taken down or covered. We had to shut off like the menu screens. We had to do like a lot of precautionary things, but they ultimately gave us the permission because I think Chris's bosses like him.
That is, dude, seriously, that is, I almost say that would be the hardest part of that video because you kept saying, I was like, hopefully this is run and gun. And it's more of a let's ask for forgiveness versus let's ask for permission. And then it was like, okay, well, you've been working there 8 years, it's like, but you guys are ready to go like full time into the band. So is this kind of like the send off? Like, we're going to shoot this and just see what happens if it becomes a spectacle. Yeah, you guys get free advertising through that as well. So I didn't know which one it was.
Yeah, we definitely got permission because we just needed, it was like a whole production setup basically because Matthew was bringing in all of his lights and his camera, and then we had like the crew member or like the other photographer and videographer, and we had to do performance shots in McDonald's. So like it was a lot. So we figured we definitely ask instead of just
yeah. And how long did it take?
So I think it took around 3 hours from the time shooting. I think we started setting up once the lobby closed at 9:00, and then so I guess it took 2 hours to set up because we couldn't start shooting until they fully closed the drive-thru at 11 p.m. So as soon as it hit 11 p.m., we started performing and shooting, and it took about 3 hours, I think, from that moment. So we were out of there at like 1:32-ish.
Did anybody come through the drive-thru or like pass by and be like, the hell is going on in there?
Yeah, because we were like shining lights all through the lobby, and people, there were some people just being like, what's going on? So.
And by any chance, this would be, you might know the answer to this, but you could relay it to Chris. Why is the ice cream machine always broken in McDonald's?
Oops, sorry about that. I don't have that answer for you. I wish I knew those secrets, but I can ask Chris. I can report back to you.
Yeah, because I've heard rumors. I've heard a couple things. I've heard that like the machine is like this $15,000 machine that just doesn't exist anywhere with any company, and to get somebody out there is like a royal pain in the butt. And then I've also heard that there's an app that tells you which machines are still working and which ones aren't. But I know that is a constant question with that damn ice cream machine.
I didn't know they had apps that did that. That's really funny.
Yeah,
I just texted them, so we'll see get back by the time this interview is done.
Man, that's crazy. And I know with your your main song though, Epiphany, I know that was like, I mean, that thing got some serious traction. How did it feel as like an artist of going through the whole process of writing, shooting, and things? It's like you don't know what's going to hit or not. And for that to get that much traction, is that just like a whole different level of dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline hit?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, recording that song and writing it, we had no idea it was going to be, we knew it was like good. We knew it was like one of our best pieces we did to date at that point, but like we had no idea how viral it would go or how well it would do on the charts. It was just like a very, let's put this out there. It was the first time we really tried to advertise on TikTok, because we were kind of on TikTok before Epiphany, but we weren't like actively campaigning. And so Epiphany was our first like very active campaign, and it was so surreal. And it just took, we're an independent band. We haven't always been independent, but Epiphany was our first single that was independent, and having it go viral and have the success it had like that was just meant so much to us. And it just keeps us going today. Why we keep making some more music was because of that song.
Man. Yeah. And as far as how many streams did it get? Or how many streams does it have to date? Do you know? Isn't it coming up on at least 1 million?
I don't know, like across platform, like in total streams everywhere. I'm not sure where it's at. I know on Spotify it's got like 450,000, I think, alone. But when we released the song, it charted on the iTunes Rock chart at number 3. And so we sold a lot of like digital downloads and digital copies of that song, which which is awesome for us, but it's hard to track those streams. When someone buys it.
Was it? Yeah. Was it cool to see? Was it? I know you charted number 3. Was it really cool to see your name right above "Falling in Reverse"?
Yeah,
That had to have been that's crazy, man.
that's the most surreal part right there. Was seeing the names we were up on the charts with. It was like, oh yeah, we just couldn't believe it, man. It was insane.
And I know you're going on tour with Every Avenue, but do you guys have aspirations to ever go on tour with Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, absolutely. If that chance ever came our way, we would 100% take that. That's he's a Falling in Reverse is a mega band. They're mega stars right now, and it's so cool to see their growth too.
Yeah, if you guys, and I know Falling in Reverse is so, I mean, he's famous for just like, I wouldn't even know what genre to put him in, just because he's just like rap, screamo, pop. There's like, he's got his pop punk stuff, but it's just all over the place, and they sample from different genres and things like that. Does your band have plans to do something like that, whether it's, introducing rap or more screaming or more, or just even country? I don't know. I've seen these pop punk country bands out there that are sampling from each other. Do you guys have any upcoming projects that you can talk about where you might be doing stuff like that?
I can't really speak on much of that right now.
You're good.
Sorry. I can't say that we have any immediate plans to make a dramatic change in how we in our sound or introduce anything very different or very new. But every single we write and every release we make is unique in itself, and there's always elements to each song that's different than what we've done before. I wouldn't say it's anything dramatic though. Like I think like, yeah, some songs are going to be heavier, like Epiphany. We're going to have some more screams on some of this new EP that we have coming out. There's going to be like heavier songs like that. There's also a lot lighter songs. There's a really, really beautiful acoustic song we wrote that's coming out in the EP that's very soft and mild tempered. And so there's a good mix of vibes, to put it on the record, on the new one that's coming out. So we like to have a wide array between pop punk and nearing the edge of metalcore, but yeah, we kind of stay within that right now.
And how do you know, like, because I saw on TikTok, Epiphany was just this huge hit, and it still is. And then the pressure to write another hit, like to almost follow that, is that like, how high is the pressure to do something like that?
It's high pressure, man. It's tough. I mean, we didn't think we had no idea. It took us a long time to really be sold on a song. We wrote the entire EP before we decided which was going to be the single, which is Clueless, like the follow-up single, I mean. So it was tough. There was a lot of pressure on us, but ultimately, like I said, we just relied on the storytelling and our unique, stories to just take the lead and direct us where we want to go.
And what is the process like? Because I know with Clueless, your new one, because I saw when you had put, there's a lot of pressure on us. And I was like, oh, well, let's see what the new one sounds like. And the new one's it's solid, man. So it's just like, how do you know? It's like, do you guys get in your own head where it's like, oh man, is this good enough? Like, are they going to like this? Or like, this is too poppy, or maybe this is not poppy enough. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need that. Is it more chaotic, or is it more like organized, or even a mix of both?
It's pretty organized for us, at least. Like we take it single by single. And so we wrote Clueless first after Epiphany, actually. And then we wrote 5 more songs. And then it was after we went single by single. Then like we looked at our collection that we made, and we were basically, just kind of sorted through like the strengths and weaknesses of each song. And we just felt it was clear to us that we were torn between Clueless and another song in the EP, but ultimately we went with Clueless because it is like the clearest and like I said, most authentic story to us, and like the most, we felt most relatable to a wide audience. So that was our thinking on choosing Clueless particularly. It was like, I think we thought this song would appeal to a lot of people in a lot of different stages in life. and we liked the chorus. We thought the chorus was banging, so so that's why we chose it.
So what is the process like as far as from start to finish? Do you guys start with melody? Do you start with the lyrics? Like, what is your process like?
Every song is different, which is funny. We actually don't have like a set process, which is like kind of different. So usually how we work is like either Chris and Drew will come up with an instrumental idea, like so they'll start by writing drums and a cool like riff on the guitar, and then like we'll write a melody or lyrics over that. We almost always start with the chorus. I will say that we almost always write the choruses first and then build out from there. But then sometimes I just come up with a melody in my head and then I like put it to like piano chords or something, and then I'll like voice memo it and send it to them and be like, hey, like I just thought of this. This sounds sick. Can you guys make a demo out of this? And then they'll like take my voice memo, write instruments to it, and then like send it back, and then we have kind of like a fleshed out demo.
That's crazy, man. How do you, and I've heard, I really need, because I asked this question a lot and I really need to get it dialed in as far as the facts go, but I think it was Whitesnake, that Cherry Pie song, Cherry Pie. I guess he wrote it in 30 minutes on the back or inside of a pizza box or something, where, and then they were just like, let's get this out. Would you guys ever try and do something like that? That would actually make for a good TikTok video. It's like, how long, like, can we write a song in under an hour or like an hour? And then it's like 30 minutes, put it out and see what happens. And if it goes, it goes. If not, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be interested in that. I might have a hard time convincing some of the other band members to do that, but I would have a blast doing that. I work best under pressure, so.
Dude, that would it. Yeah, and I don't want to shout. I just want to be like, yeah, remember that interview we did? That guy, that one dude. I don't even remember his name, but yeah, let's try this out and let's rock and roll.
No, that's great. Maybe we might do that.
And I also, before I forget, with like live performances, do you by any chance get high on your own supply when it comes to music? Like whether it's Epiphany, Clueless, or Tightrope, any one of your singles, is there anyone that just hits hard to you and you just kind of jam out on stage to?
I mean, yeah, I jammed all of our stuff, but Epiphany was really cool live when we did it back in July. That was a crazy time. That was so much fun. Epiphany is so much fun to do live.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the crowd gets really into it too.
Yeah. We that was our closer on like our set closer on that tour. And it was, people went wild for that song. It was so much fun. It was fun. We saw a couple pits open up and people like, moshing to it. It was pretty cool.
And this new tour that you guys are touring with Every Avenue, which when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, because I could have sworn Every Avenue took either they broke up or took a small sabbatical or a little break, but I had to double check. I was like, holy crap, they're back too. Like, how did that happen?
It's a long story, but like at its base of it, one of our guitar players is actually filling in for one of the guitar players as a guitar player in Every Avenue. And that was like a whole thing because Every Avenue is actually from our same hometown in Michigan. Like originally, they're not from there anymore, but so like we kind of made that connection, and basically one conversation led to another, and learned they wanted to go on tour. So because we had that kind of connection, we threw our names out there, and we really sold that we were like the hometown boys with them, and I think that's what sold us to get on that tour. So it was cool.
And when that, what was the reaction when everything was, all the lines and everything were signed, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this?
It was surreal, man. I mean, because we got the same reaction. We were like, oh man, we didn't know Every Avenue was like still a band, or even like making the look a comeback, or whatever their plans are. I'm not sure what their plans are going forward, but yeah, it was just an honor. Honestly, it was so cool to be able to be on a bill like this. So we are very, very excited.
And I know you guys, at the time of this recording, I think you guys start in March, at the beginning of March, touring. How are you guys prepping right now for tour?
We actually just had our first rehearsal last night for the tour. We're practicing this month of February. We're introducing two new songs to our set, reordering it and just reworking it, so it's a really fresh set going out on the road again. And yeah, we're just doing our thing, practicing and getting the new songs under our belt, and yeah, that's pretty much all we're doing.
Do you guys, is there anything you're looking forward to the most while you guys are on tour?
I mean, I think it's like simply just the traveling and seeing the different parts of the country is the favorite part, and honestly the downtime of it, because and we love perform. We love the actual when we perform our set. That's awesome. That's so much fun. Definitely a highlight. But like just being able to drive across the country and see different parts of different areas of life is really, really cool to me, at least. And just to get away from like the everyday life for a little while and have new scenery is really refreshing.
And when I ask this, I mean this, like, so I know is everybody kind of still, I guess, working their odd jobs and then just taking a pause and then going on tour, or is everybody you guys are just about to go full-fledged, full-time?
Yeah, we're all still working our day jobs. So, Chris and Drew have the time off from McDonald's to go and do these tours. And then I'm in the same boat. I have some time off from work to do these. And yeah, everyone's in the same boat. We're all just taking time off from our day jobs because we don't have the consistency of touring or income yet to really jump to do this full time. But we are making, obviously that's the end goal. So we are making strides towards that every day to, put things in place to make sure we can do this, make that jump hopefully very soon.
Do you think still having day jobs and then going on tour keeps you guys super humble?
Yeah, definitely. Because we're broke all the time. And so it's really tough to, to have to fund band projects and still pay rent or pay your mortgage or, just pay for life on top of, also trying to fund like a whole album, which is why we're doing a Kickstarter, because we've been self-funded from the start of it 2 years ago. And it's been tough. It's really, really tough as an independent band to just, fund everything yourselves and to start from literally nothing and build it from the ground up. So it definitely humbles us having to work 9 to 5s and then, fit in tours and like plead for the time off and hope we get, our request approved. So it's tough, but it's the dream. It's what we want to be doing. So it's nothing but a thing. It's not a thing, whatever that saying is.
Yeah. Ain't nothing but a G thing or something like that. But as a leader, as a leader, how do you keep everybody intact and keep everybody motivated? Because I know what you just said, a lot of people can relate to, because whether you're trying to build a business, build a band, build your brand, it's like people are still working their day jobs and their businesses or side hustles. And it's just between, when you're working your 9 to 5, you're just wiped. And then it's like, you got to come home to, girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever. You got to give them time. Then it's like, you got to eat dinner. And then it's like, okay, now we got to focus on the band in your case from 9 o'clock till 2 a.m. Do it all over again for peanuts. So how do you stay motivated and how do you keep everybody else still motivated?
So that's a really good question. There's definitely lots of ups and downs in what we're doing right now. There's really high moments like when Epiphany was released and we saw that the reaction there. That was definitely that made it worth all the down moments for us. But there's a lot of moments when we're like, in the depths of writing our album or writing our next EP or, just not really in the public spotlight at the moment. Those are tough times because it's just hard. We get hard on ourselves because we get lost in the 9 to 5. We kind of lose sight of the dream. But something I like to do a lot of is just positive reinforcement. I always text my guys and always tell them, whenever they post TikToks, like today or yesterday, someone posted TikTok and I texted them. I was like, dude, I think that looks awesome. Like, thanks for pulling that out, and just, reaffirming to them that like they are doing an awesome job, even if the TikTok flops, even if, because that stuff doesn't matter. they're putting in the work and it will eventually pay off. And that's something I always tell them too, is like, we're doing all the right things and we're doing everything within our power to do what we can do. And so, yeah, and there's just no space for negativity in our band. Our band's really good. We don't fight. We don't like get in any like weird arguments or anything like that. Because we're just so, like I said, we're busy with our everyday lives on top of the band stuff. So there's no room for like negative energy within our band or any other things surrounding the band. We're very positive guys, and we're just grateful for anything and everything that we could receive, like from fan reactions or fans reaching out, our fans commenting or liking our stuff. Like we're happy to see like 50 views on a TikTok. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, that, and with the views, I don't think people realize, like, let's just say it got 50 views from, like, I think people are quick to just be like, it's only 50 views. But if it's like 50 people saw it, if you just had like an auditorium or a room and saw 50 people in there, I think you'd be like, okay, well, maybe that's not. Same with 100, same with 1,000, same with 1,000,000. Like, you guys hit 1,000,000 views, that's 2 million eyeballs, right? So it's like, it's perspective for sure. But I know. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's 100% what you said. It's all about perspective. When you put it like that, and yeah, if 50 people just watched your video, I mean, that's 50 more people that that hadn't seen your video before, that hadn't maybe heard of you guys before. Like, that's not nothing. And it's easy to lose sight of it. Especially after you have like a million viewed video or some big commercial success, to go from that to like a 50 viewed video. Like, it's hard. It's easy to lose sight, but it's all about perspective for sure.
And this kind of goes along with my previous question as well, because, as far as bands go, you hear about bands breaking up or just kind of throwing in the towel. Have you guys ever almost quit? And if you have, what like pulled you guys back and it's like, okay, we're going to do this. We've got this?
No, we've been fortunate enough that we've never thought about just throwing in the towel or quitting. Hasn't even come up, haven't even considered it. We have had some band member changes since we first started, but I mean, it's never put into question like the band as a whole. Like, we've always been very solid. And we're very happy with the lineup right now, and everyone's, very happy with their roles in the band. So, yeah, we're pretty fortunate in that.
That is good. And you mentioned your fans a second ago. What has been the, I guess, most touching how can I word this? What has been the best fan response you've gotten so far?
It's hard to pick out a single moment, but I will say a collection of moments that was my favorite was when we toured. We opened up for this band called Alisana back in June or July, and they were a really, really popular band in their heyday. They were on Fearless Records. They're a really big band, and they asked us to go out to open for them on tour in July of 2021, right after Epiphany got released. And seeing the reaction, because most of those people at that concert were there for Alisana. They didn't know who we were. And having people come up to our merch table after our set and say like, whoa, like, first, and Alisana is like a metalcore, like heavy band. And so for a pop punk band to be on that bill was kind of weird and out of place. And we didn't know how people would react to us. But people came up to us after every show would be like, you guys are so sick. Like, I've been pop punk. Like, you guys are like this aggressive pop punk that I've been looking for. And like, I can't believe you guys aren't bigger than you are. All these things that people would say to us were just so kind and so welcoming and nice. And that was like the most unexpected, because I was expecting like for people not to really like us, because it was like a heavy bill. But it was very, very reaffirming to go on that tour and see all the positive reactions.
Yeah, I mean, live music used to be my life for so long, man. I've got stacks and stacks of tickets, when tickets where you actually had to go to like an actual Ticketmaster to buy the physical ticket, which was in like a Publix or something, which is like a Meijer where you guys are. And just to see just like the assortment, because like I would be the guy who would show up early to see the like first band just to see what what was out there. And yeah, everyone, it's like you said, you do not like, I have so many different genres that I like. And then it's like to see somebody like that, it's like, oh, okay. And then it's just as surprising to you. But I think it's cool that you guys still go out and sit at the merch table, because I think that I haven't, the recent shows that I've been, people don't do that anymore, for, I'm sure a number of reasons now, but I think it's cool that you guys get to get out there and interact with the fans and, build that base up.
Yeah, that's something that's very important to us, is still going to the merch table. All of us, we all go to the merch table after every set, or it depends on like the tour too. Sometimes we'll wait until like the last band is done, because that's just kind of like courtesy, because you don't want to like distract from other performers' sets. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we'll wait till the very end to go out, but whether it's right after our set or at the very end, we always make sure we go to the merch table and say hi to people that want to come say hey to us.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. One last question, and is that for other bands or anybody else who's creating content on, whether it's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Reels, whoever is focusing on content with video, what would you say your best piece of advice for them would be?
It's what I've been saying most of this interview is: be yourself, be authentic. Everyone wants to be a part of your story and hear your story. And, there's a million bands out there. There's a million artists. There's a million creators, but there's no one like you. You are your only you, and you got to find out what makes you different and what makes you an individual, and just tell that story. So that'd be my best advice.
Awesome, man. And where can people find you online? Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube or TikTok, I'll have everything in the description below, but tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find us. You can find Unwell everywhere. You can search Unwell on Spotify, YouTube. We're at Unwell Band everywhere on social media. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Unwell Band everywhere. And we're going on tour March 3rd to the 18th with Every Avenue and Makeout. So if you're in the East Coast or Midwest, come say hey.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.